In this video, I just want to have a bit of a free-form discussion on Myers Briggs personality type. That's a Myers Briggs 16 personality types, and why people do what they do, why people behave the way that they do. So if you're not actually familiar with here we are. So let's just briefly have a look at the Myers Briggs 16 personality types. So what you have 4 dimensions, and the first is attention direction. So is your attention on the inner world, which makes you an introvert, or is your attention on the external world, which makes you an extrovert? It's basically as simple as that. And then your perceiving functions. This is like how you perceive the world with your senses. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory, right? So a sensor, a person who's what we call uses sensing, they will just see what's actually in front of them. Whereas an intuitor, they will actually look at what's in front of them, and then they will abstract up from that to concepts and ideas, and they'll abstract up from this mug and to cups and to bottles and to beer making in medieval Europe, and the Romans, building roads in England. And it's like, how the heck did you get there? Well, that's what an intuitor does. All right, intuitors will abstract up, and then they form patterns or relationships between things and ideas until eventually this mug is a sign of colonialist oppression or something like that. It's like, wow, okay. So that's your perceiving functions, intuition and sensing. And then you gather information, but then you actually have to make a decision. So this is your judging functions. You can make a decision based on facts and logic, which is the thinking, which is the T, or based on feelings, which is the F. So judges will actually just actually look at the data and think it through and logically, and then they'll just make a decision and say, yeah, black tea, it's fine, it's good. Actually, it's herbal tea. Whereas a feeling type, they had to make a decision about something, and we could be like in a group together or whatever. And it's like, would you like a drink? And the feeler type, rather than just go, oh yeah, just have a glass of water or a cup of tea, it could be, well, yeah, but what do you want? And they get very much into empathy, and they want to be doing what everybody else is doing because they want others to feel comfortable. They don't want to put others out. And this isn't because the feeling person's a nicer person than the thinking person. It's just that they find it uncomfortable if they behave differently to the other person. Basically it. So how do you make a decision based on facts and logic or feelings? And then it's how do you move through the world? How do you move through the world? So judges, they actually, in the external world, they have there's a lot of order and structure. They're reliable, they're on time, they're probably maybe dress more neatly than other people do. But in the inner world, they actually have total and absolute freedom to explore their inner mind. The perceiver, on the other hand, what we see of the perceivers when they move through the world is that they're spontaneous. They have freedom to do whatever. And typically, They say they'll be there at 10 o'clock. They'll arrive maybe at 11:30 the next day. They're not very reliable. And these are generalizations because you get perceivers. I have a perceiver friend. Yes, and if he says he'll be there at 5 o'clock, he's there at 5 o'clock. But then there are others, and this is typically, she's so unreliable. So structure and order. But the perceiver, in their inner world, they have structure. So you get these actors who, they go up on stage and they're just, what they do, improvisational dance or this, that, and the other, and they're totally spontaneous. And we go, wow, that's amazing. How do they do that? Well, what they often do, they'll rehearse a set of behaviors. So they'll rehearse 3 or 4 behaviors. So then when they get into a situation, then they draw upon that database of behaviors and they present it. So there's like a millisecond of where they're having to go back in their mind and sort of sort through and choose, what's going to be the response that I'm going to give right now. Just a millisecond, just enough to keep them on edge and whatever. But that's the perceiver. They have structure in the inner world, freedom in the outer world. The judger has freedom of the inner world, structure in the outer world. Now, for me, I can write a pretty decent article. I will actually go through my thoughts and I write a pretty decent article. But when it actually comes to doing something ad lib like I'm doing now, this is so challenging for me. It is really challenging because as I'm doing this, I'm actually judging myself all the way along. Like, what are you doing? You're talking about this, that, the other. You should have said that. You could have been more precise. You're off track, etc., etc. So I feel, and I'll probably come over, as a lot more rigid and structured and whatever than somebody who just gets up. Maybe, is it Stefan Molyneux, that philosopher? He just gets up there and he just expresses his feelings, It's like, geez, I wish I could do that spontaneously. So there's the 4 dichotomies. Attention, direction, introversion, extroversion, perceiving functions, intuition, sensing, your judging functions, how you make a decision, that's thinking or feeling, and your structure and order, how you move through the world, judging or perceiving. So let me just show you just quickly how it works. I'm an INTJ, all right? So there's 16 personality types, but I didn't want to list them all. So I just put INTJ. So then, if you have a look at the last one, the judging function, that's what you guys see of me, all right? You see that I'm structured, orderly, and all that, conscious, all that sort of stuff, right? So the judging function is extroverted. So the judging function is thinking. So next to the T, you put a little E. So it's TE. That means that the perceiving function, intuition, has to be introverted. So you put a little I next to it. So you get NITE. And since I'm an introvert, the NI goes at the front. That's my dominant function. My secondary function is extroverted thinking, right? Introverted intuition, extroverted thinking. So when you know that about somebody, because then you can get the other two in the back seat, but when you know that Abby's NITE, it makes a lot of sense if you understand personality type. And then let's say contrast that with an ENFP. So it's extrovert, intuitive, feeling, perceiver. So the perceiving function is going to be extroverted. So that means the perceiving function is going to be NE, which means the judging function, feeling, is going to be introverted, it's FI. So you get NEFI, and the person's extroverted. So that means the NE goes first. So the ENFP, their dominant functions, extroverted intuition, their secondary functions, introverted feeling. So that's pretty cool. So once you know somebody's 4-letter code, then you can put it into the in personality hacker, they call it the car model. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. But the first two are the most important. And then if you have a look at Roger Hamilton's wealth dynamics profile, that's all he's doing is using the dominant function, and he's made $1 million from that test. It's like Jesus. All right. So that's my little rambling intro, and this is a challenge for me as an INTJ because I didn't want to say all of that. All I wanted to do was to get straight in to having a philosophical discussion. So, why do people do what they do? Well, people work to their personality type. People want to be authentic. They want to feel authentic and be true to self and feel good. Right? That's for everyone. However, there's always going to be some people who think and behave differently. People who think differently to you, which means there's always going to be potential conflict. Because if everyone thought the way you did, there wouldn't be a lot of conflict. Probably be a bit boring. So now let's use Justin Trudeau as an example. So a few days ago, I just saw something very briefly, so I've only got a little bit of information on it. I think Justin Trudeau. I think Trudeau is an ENFJ, all right? ENFJ. So judging functions, extroverted, so he's FE. So he's FENI. And he said something recently about everyone having to agree with the experts and follow suit. Right? Everyone has to follow through because there's a group of experts who he is in harmony with. So therefore, everyone else, all the dissenters, have to do what he says. Why? So that Trudeau can feel comfortable. It's got nothing to do with reality. It's about his feelings. Do you sort of get that? So that's where if you get somebody like, say, Trudeau, he's a politician, he's in the public eye. And those who have FE as the dominant function, they will be out there. I think Oprah Winfrey, she's much the same. The people with dominant FE, they get a group of people and they want the group of people to be in harmony with each other. Why? Is it because this person here wants people to be in harmony? No, it's because this person here feels comfortable when the group is in harmony. If the group is not in harmony, this person will bend over backwards to say and do things to get the group in harmony. So it's not about the group or the people out there, it's about this person here. All right? And so then you have politicians, say like Trudeau, if there's a group of people who think and behave differently to him, then what do? Because Trudeau does not want to feel uncomfortable. So the politician will try and shut the others down. They'll try and shut the dissenters down, try and get them cancelled so they don't get any media coverage, this, that, and the other. Has it got anything to do with truth and facts? No, it's all to do with the protagonists' feelings. You getting this? All right. So let me see. So now, and this has got nothing to do with whether I like Trudeau or not. I don't care about the guy at all. It's just an example, right? And now there's a big difference between the political left and the right. And I find it really, really interesting. Anyway, in Australia, this is just a few days ago, the Senate acknowledged that there have been excess deaths over the last 12 months. And there should be an inquiry. Now, so in the Senate, they had a majority vote of 1. So what do they call it? The motion or whatever just got passed. Yet both Labor and Greens, they're on the left, they voted against the motion for an inquiry. Why? It's like there had been a significant number of excess deaths, not just in Australia, but in the world over the last 12 months. And you would think that any reasonable person would say, yeah, let's have an inquiry into this, let's find what's going on. But the leftist parties, Labor and Greens, voted no. Don't you think that's weird? It's like, aren't they interested in the truth or the facts? So you look at the differences between intuition and sensing, and you can go online. It's really interesting. You go online and do the search for Myers Briggs political orientation or political preference, that sort of thing. It's really quite fascinating. But what you sort of get is the sense, I don't know, what you sort of get is that the senses are more willing to face the truth, but the intuitors, now I'm an intuitor, but I really want the truth, right? But there are intuitors, maybe they're the NFs, the intuitors feeling types. But for some reason, they do not want the truth. They will do everything to deny the truth. And if somebody tells the truth, they will call them a conspiracy theorist or something like this. It's really weird. So I'd just like you just to think about that. I could talk about this for hours, but I don't want to. I just want to let you know. And so you want to have a look, go online and find out what the differences are between intuition and senses in terms of politics and how people make a decision. And whether they're, based on facts and feelings. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. Okay, so as I said, there are some types who are more likely to pursue the truth, So I'm an INTJ. It's my motto. It's like challenge everything for the truth. No matter how uncomfortable that might make me feel. I want the truth, right? But there are those who just can't handle the truth. And that's really weird. Now, so I'd just like you just to have a think about that, about how, if you're watching this, how you personally think and what it is that you do in your mind and how you make a decision. Like, how do you get to that decision? Are you like empathizing with other people and you want to sort of protect the other people, the other person, the other group? So therefore, you would rather actually hide the truth from them because you don't want them to feel uncomfortable. Is it something like that? And if that's the case, then what is it that you need to do in order to handle the truth? What is it that you need to do in order for you to handle the facts, to look at the facts as a dispassionate observer? So in meditation, the meditators use the term a dispassionate observer, like just to be a witness, to be neutral, to not have a choice for what's on the left or what's on the right, or it's not choosing one or the other. It's just being, just sensing, just seeing the data that's actually there and just sitting with that, rather than actually trying to deny some aspect of the information such that you get to feel good. All right. So that's all I sort of really wanted to say. So I'll just leave it with you just to have a look at the 16 personality types and just how you make a decision. What's more important to you, feelings, facts, or feelings, and then what are the consequences of that? So what are the benefits and consequences of actually pursuing the truth? And what are the benefits and consequences of I don't know, maintaining a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling in your body and a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling with the people around you? Right, benefits and consequences, the upside and the downside, everything. All right, so I'll leave that with you. All the best.